Welcome to the deep dive. We pull apart your source material, find the key insights, and give you the knowledge you need to stay ahead. Today, we're looking at the modern road for professional drivers. It's kind of defined by this intense split, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yeah. On one hand, you've got just relentless scrutiny, rising costs, all sorts of risk, digital, physical, you name it. But, and this is the interesting part, that same volatility, it's actually creating chances for drivers to maybe step off that roller coaster, find some real freedoms and financial control.
Right. And that's really our mission for this deep dive. We've dug through a stack of sources covering, well, everything from scams to big tech shifts, compliance headaches. We need to pull out the actionable advice. We saw some great points in life as a trucker, for example, focusing on that core question. How do you, the driver, actually get control over your career, your money?
Yeah, the fundamental challenge seems to be, okay, how do you stay professional, keep your respect, when the whole system feels chaotic, maybe even broken? And critically, how can you use your downtime, that off-duty time, which is maybe your most valuable asset to build, like a financial shield, something to protect you from whatever the industry throws next?
Okay, let's start with the integrity problem, because honestly, some of these stories are just wild. Let's call this first one the CDL Catfish story.
It really does sound like something out of a movie.
Yeah.
But no, sources confirm it. A woman in New York running this really elaborate scam for commercial driver's license testing, apparently using wigs, makeup, all sorts of disguises to impersonate different applicants, taking the actual CDL tests for them.
And this wasn't just once, right? She did it again and again.
Exactly. Until DMV staff started noticing problems with the photo IDs, it sounds like facial recognition software might have helped flag the pattern eventually.
So what's the big deal here, beyond just breaking the rules?
Oh, it's huge. This is a massive safety hazard. Think about it, an unqualified driver getting behind the wheel of an 80,000-pound rig. That puts everyone on the road at risk.
And it hits the honest drivers directly too, doesn't it?
Definitely. This kind of cheating, it just sours everything. It pushes insurance rates up for everybody. It fuels calls for even more regulations. And for legitimate applicants, the ones trying to do it right, it means longer waits, more scrutiny at the testing centers. It makes it harder for good people to enter the industry.
And looking at the driver forums, what are people saying?
Well, you see sort of two main camps. Some drivers point fingers at what they call a get-rich-quick attitude among some newer folks. They feel like safety standards are getting ignored for a quick buck.
Okay, that's one deep.
But then you have other often experienced drivers looking at the system itself. They blame the often broken DMV process, the long backlogs, the red tape. They argue that kind of frustration tempts people to try desperate shortcuts.
So either way, the driver who follows the rules kind of ends up paying the price.
That seems to be the takeaway. And that lack of integrity, or maybe the pressure that leads to cutting corners, connects directly to our next point, really severe safety failures. We saw sources detailing that horrific accident with the rogue steel coil.
Oh, yes, the flatbed load that detached caused a terrible multi-vehicle crash.
Right. And the outcome there was pretty shocking. We're talking criminal charges, not just fines or lawsuits, but actual criminal charges against both the driver and the company.
Wow. That really sends a message about negligence, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And it brings up this whole question of shared responsibility,
Yeah.
Properly securing a load like that is non-negotiable. Sources suggested that common failures often trace back to things like rushed dispatch schedules, maybe prioritizing speed over taking the necessary, say, 20 minutes to secure that coil correctly.
It puts the driver in an impossible spot. Risk the schedule or risk lives.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And these threats aren't isolated. Beyond physical failures like load securement, the sources also highlighted digital dangers, things like digital bandits spoofing broker emails to steal cargo, that's cyber theft, double brokering scams, even major wage theft allegations like that Colorado Waste Services settlement we saw mentioned.
So the professional driver is really getting hit from all sides. Physical safety, digital security, financial fairness. It's a lot.
It is. And when an industry faces this much perceived risk and, frankly, bad press from incidents like these, what's the usual response?
More oversight, more monitoring.
Exactly. Which brings us perfectly into our next segment, tech versus trust.
Right. Let's talk about this chatter around a potential 2026 mandate for DMS, driver monitoring systems.
Yeah, DMS. We're talking in-cab cameras, sensors, tracking things like drowsiness, distraction, even where your head is pointed.
So what's the dynamic here? Who wants this?
Well, it's interesting. Big fleets, they might actually welcome it or at least accept it. The data helps them manage insurance risk, maybe get lower premiums eventually.
But for the little guy.
For small fleets, and especially owner-operators, It's a different story. First, there's the cost. We're hearing figures like $1,500 to $3,000 per truck. That's a serious capital expense. And then there are the privacy concerns. I mean, really significant ones. You're being filmed while you're eating lunch in your cab, maybe yawning during your break. It feels intrusive.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate. From the regulator or insurer's viewpoint, isn't the argument that this data saves lives? It could reduce fatigue crashes, like the coil accident maybe, and protect good drivers from false claims.
That's definitely the argument. And look, there are potential safety benefits. We have to acknowledge that. Fewer fatigue-related accidents would be a huge win.
So it's a trade-off.
It is.
Hmm.
But for many drivers, the feeling is that it's a trade-off they didn't agree to. It feels like being constantly watched, rated, audited, like the job is shifting from a skilled profession to something more like, well, being on a constantly supervised assembly line. It hits that feeling of respect we talked about.
That makes sense. Okay, speaking of technology shifts, let's pivot completely. Big news on the alternative power front.
Ah, yeah.
General Motors officially pulling the plug on its next-gen hydrogen fuel cell program. That felt significant.
It really did. You know, for years, hydrogen was pitched as the answer for long-haul trucking. Zero emissions, potentially fast refueling, the dream scenario.
So why did it fizzle out?
Well, the data seems pretty clear now. The infrastructure just never materialized at scale. Building hydrogen stations is incredibly expensive. Plus, producing the hydrogen itself often relies heavily on natural gas, which isn't exactly emission-free, and it's costly.
Yeah.
And then there's maintenance on the trucks, apparently proving really complex and challenging for fleet operations.
So what does this GM decision really signal for the industry?
It pretty much confirms two things, at least for the near future. One, the market's putting its money heavily into battery electric systems, especially for regional and maybe local routes. And two, for long haul. Diesel's digging in its heels. The alternatives just haven't proven themselves to be scalable or economical yet. So if you were betting big on hydrogen replacing diesel soon, well, that bet looks like a bust for now.
Okay, so hydrogen stalled. Is there any positive news on the battery front for truckers today?
Actually, yes. And it's kind of an unexpected win. We saw that white paper from PACCAR and Dragonfly. It shows truckers are adopting battery power right now.
But not for driving the truck.
Exactly. Not for propulsion. For auxiliary systems, this is the practical application that's working now.
Like running the AC in the fridge without idling.
Precisely. We're talking about these high-capacity lithium battery units, like the Battleborn systems mentioned. They can power the cab, HVAC, microwaves, CPAP machine, all the hotel loads for 8 hours or even more, all without running the main engine.
That sounds genuinely useful.
It is. The data backs it up. Using these auxiliary power systems can slash engine idling time and the related emissions by up to 90%.
Wow, 90%.
Yeah, and this isn't some far-off tech. It's available now, it's practical, and it offers a real return on investment, often paying for itself in fuel savings within just 1 or 2 years.
Plus, the quality of life improvement must be huge. Quieter rest stops.
Definitely. Better climate control. No noise or vibration from an idling engine or even an APU. No APU maintenance headaches either. This is tech that makes the current diesel-powered trucking life better right now. You don't have to wait for some perfect future charging network.
Okay, so let's try to tie some of these threads together. We've got integrity issues, safety pressures, monitoring tech costs, uncertainty about future fuels.
And through it all, whether it's absorbing the cost of a mandated DMS, dealing with low freight rates, or facing risks from scams, it often feels like the individual driver is the one left holding the bag, right? Bearing the costs, the compliance burden, the stress.
Which brings us back to that core idea, the driver's defense. If the industry keeps shifting, keeps adding pressure, how do you protect yourself? How do you maintain that self-respect?
And the answer that kept coming up in the sources, especially from voices like Hervey at Life as a Trucker, points towards building financial resilience, building it outside the day-to-day ups and downs of the freight market. The core advice seems to be shifting your mindset. It's not just about working harder for the shipper or the carrier. It's about working smarter for yourself.
So managing your time differently, not just driving, sleeping, driving.
Exactly. It's about valuing that off-duty time. Seeing these industry problems, the scams, the regulations, the low rates, not just as headaches, but maybe as powerful motivators. Motivators to build your own independence.
Okay, but how? What does that look like practically?
It looks like using that downtime to learn new skills, to build alternative income streams. And this is where modern tools, specifically AI, become really interesting. Really powerful.
AI. How does AI help a truck driver build income? We're not talking coding, are we?
No, not at all. We're talking about using readily available AI tools to create value during your downtime, maybe even during that mandated 10-hour break. Think about it. AI can help you draft professional emails or marketing materials. It can generate simple logos or website copy. It can help you manage finances for a small side business. Maybe something related to trucking, like consulting, or even helping other drivers with paperwork, but automated.
So, using AI to leverage your existing expertise or to run a side gig more efficiently.
Precisely. AI lets one person do tasks that used to require a whole team or expensive software. You can set up simple, maybe even recurring income streams, creating digital resources for other drivers for apps, automating your own bookkeeping to save money and time. It builds that financial shield we talked about.
Why is that shield so important, though?
Because if you have that stable, independent income, it changes your relationship with the main job. You're not desperate. You can afford the unexpected costs, like maybe a DMS system. You can ride out a slow freight market without panicking. And maybe most importantly, you get to decide when you retire, not the market, not the company. Your freedom isn't tied solely to the truck anymore. It's something you build yourself, bite by bite.
And it probably helps you stay professional on the road, too, right? Less pressure to cut corners if you're not financially stressed.
Absolutely. You're not tempted to rush securing that load or take a risky dispatch just to make ends meet. Your stability comes from somewhere else. It's anchored outside the cab.
So, wrapping this deep dive up, we've seen this constant pressure on modern drivers. Scandals, safety failures, monitoring tech, shifting fuel strategies. It's a lot. But the path towards regaining some control seems twofold. One, embrace practical tech like those auxiliary battery systems for immediate quality of life wins. And two, maybe more profoundly, invest that off-duty time. Invest it in yourself and learning new skills, particularly digital ones.
Yeah, if there's one final thought to leave folks with, it's this. Your biggest asset probably isn't the truck or even the CDL. It's your time off duty. Regulation doesn't sleep. Digital threats don't sleep. Market fluctuations don't sleep. So how are you making sure your income potential doesn't sleep either? Focusing on skills, maybe using AI to build online income, that's how you stay ahead. Not by finding shortcuts or taking risks, but by earning your independence step by step.
The driver monitoring system might want to rate you on every blink, every yawn, but what are you building in your own time that can't be tracked, can't be audited by some corporate risk profile? That independent stream, maybe that's the real road to control in today's trucking world.